Lovelorn writer Emily Hill caused a huge stir recently when she declared herself too right-wing to find love in a heartrending piece in the Daily Mail that went viral. So with woke warriors now apparently dominating the dating scene, is love only for lefties these days? Well, I'm delighted to welcome the talented columnist and author of Bad Romance to the studio tonight. Emily, I mean, look at you. You are stunning. You are intelligent. I cannot believe that men would be so shallow that they don't want to date you because of your political views.
What is wrong with them? I'm blonde, I dye my hair, don't I? I wear mascara, I wear black dresses. I don't know, you need to teach the men a thing or two, Dan.
I find them pathetic and spineless. And also, there are so many great love stories about folk who are on other sides of the political divide because it makes your life quite interesting.
Yeah,
you can argue.
Montague and Capulet, and Remainer and Brexiteer, like, keep it feisty, you know, like, it's got to be wrong to be right, you know.
But is it these apps, Emily, is that's what's changed it? Because I read your piece and you said that in these apps, these dating apps, which are a whole other crazy world, you're actually asked to define your political position.
Yeah, you do. Well, the thing is the weird thing is like going into the pandemic, I didn't think that I was right-wing. I was up for paying taxes for the NHS and for education, for our children. And all of a sudden, like, the Swedish model of, like, looking after everybody else became, like, actually giving people their freedom. And I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'm still on Sweden's side here. And apparently that made me, like, a totally beyond the pale, a vicious right-winger, one of those sort of horrible people, fascists even, that, you know, that you read about on the news. And was sort of a devotee of you and Julia Hartley-Brewer and Alison Pearson and Peter Hitchens, you know, proper journalists who are doing their job, which we all need to do. That is our job, to ask questions. And so questioning the whole thing. And what I learned is you can't do that. I don't know how your social life is faring, but you do not want to be, like, questioning. I mean, you've seen that survey, obviously, that shows that, you know, if you want to be sexy, you've got to wear a face mask.
I couldn't believe that. Yeah, face masks make you better looking. Yeah. It's all propaganda. And I do judge people if they judge you for your political views. I mean, when it comes to me, I don't hide who I am. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
But I cannot stand people who will make a judgment simply because what I think politically. Yeah. It's interesting, though, Emily, in your piece, you say that older men are now almost pretending to be social justice warriors in order to find younger women. So they say, oh, I'm a big fan of the Black Lives Matter movement. I support LGBTQIA. And you're like, that's actually probably not how you feel, but it makes it more palatable on these sites.
It's really interesting because obviously, like, I'm a journalist first and foremost. I don't just go in for personal confessions. So, you know, when you kind of sense a trend in society, you investigate it. So I was sort of looking around for other people's stories, and it was actually a friend of mine who was looking for an older man who said, like, she was just suspicious. She was just thinking, well, I don't know whether I believe it. And I think it's a trend called woke fishing, where you pretend to be more woke than you actually are. And it follows on from catfishing, where you pretend to be incredibly good-looking, use somebody else's photos. And catfishing, which is another big thing on apps, where you basically wear a cap to
Why would you do it? But that makes no sense to me, because when I speak to women, they don't want a woke, new age man.
Oh, I think they do. I think that
they want an old school bloke
who throw them down and, you know. Yeah. Well, the thing is, no, I don't think so. Like, I think going into the pandemic, I was like, I don't know. I had societies kind of telling me I needed some kind of man who worked for a corporation rather than a dad, like a man like my dad who drove a white van. You know, like, you kind of get told what you're supposed to do. You kind of go into it thinking you were some kind of fey intellectual, and you come out wanting Joe Rogan because he's a MMA fighter with a brain.
So how are we going to deal with this, Emily? Because it is, as I say, you're too intelligent, you're too beautiful to stay off the market simply because you have quote-unquote right-wing views, which actually, by the way, are just common sense, obviously. So I think we're going to have to help you. We're going to have to help you find the perfect man. And I imagine after tonight there'll be no shortage of offers.
Well, I hope next time you'll have me on with three men behind a panel, and you'll do the stiller, and we'll have Graham with a great recap, and we will find me love. I trust you implicitly.
And just to clarify, Emily, finally, you're not saying that you only want to date a man who has the same views as you. You would be open to dating a man who was on the left.
Yeah. You know, to me, it just doesn't really matter. It's just being dismissed. And also, as you say, it's common sense, because I think a lot of with pandemic and with everything else, you just think, well, it's just common sense. And like and it's like with a lot of things now, it's like we're being told that 2 and 2 make 5. And I'm just like, it doesn't.
Well, don't worry. Everyone's coming around to our way of thinking now anyway. And they're pretending that they never supported lockdowns and all of that crazy stuff. So it's probably going to get a lot easier, Emily Hill, in the weeks and months to come. But thank you so much for sharing your story today.